Samanta Chakavalesu Atra Gacchantu Devata Saddhammang Munirajas Sunanto Saghamukkhadang Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalo Ayang Bhadanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Panchimani Maharaja Alabhanihani Thanani Samanena va Brahmanena va Devena va Marena va Brahmana va Kenachi va Lokasminti. Namo Buddhaya. I pay homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the All-Enlightened One, the Shakyamuni, the Buddha. Most Venerable Mahasangha, late Most Venerable Acharya Buddharakshita Bhante ji, we gratefully remember him this moment, and all the most venerable members of the Sangha, the devotees, Dhamma friends. In this Dhamma discussion, I will not be taking long to mention all the background details, as our most venerable Ananda Bhante ji has mentioned all. So let us directly go to the Dhamma discussion that I would like to have with you. Since we don't have much time, I'm going to cut short a very valuable Dhamma discourse we find in the Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourses of the Buddha. The name of this discourse is SOKASALLAHARANA Sutta, which stand for extracting the dart of sorrow, removing the dart of sorrow. Dhamma friends, this discourse, the content of this discourse is very valuable for today, for today's world and your day-to-day life. Don't forget to teach this content to your friends, your relatives, and while making use of it yourselves. When the Buddha was alive, there lived a king called Munda. His name was Munda. He was living in the Pataliputra in India about 2500 years ago. He had a very dear and near, very beloved queen called a very beloved queen. She was very dear and near to him. Owing to some sickness, my friends, she died young. This death that king couldn't bear it. He was so disturbed to the extent that since his queen passed away, since his beloved queen passed away, this king stopped bathing. He stopped putting perfume on his body, anointing perfume on his body. And he stopped eating proper meals. He stopped doing all this administration work of his country owing to this sorrow. He was very sad. One day, he ordered his treasurer, his name was Pirker. He ordered Pirker, take this queen's body and put it on a boat, iron boat, filled with oil, and enclose it with a similar iron boat, so that I can see her body in the morning and in the evening, so that my sorrow will be less. So the treasurer did the same. Now, Dhamma friends, this king, in the morning goes to that iron boat and looking at this queen's dead body. In the evening, he does the same, but still the sorrow is the same. This treasurer, the king's treasurer, was a very good friend of the king. He was thinking to himself, if we were to go this way, the whole country will be in some trouble, because the king does not do his day-to-day duties. Then he was thinking, will there be anyone in this town or this country who could teach some Dhamma to our king, so that his sorrow will be extracted? The dart of sorrow will be extracted. When he was thinking that way, he recalled there was one venerable bhikkhu called Narada in this Pataliputra town in the Kukkutarame. He is very famous for his wisdom, his sila, and his ability of Dhamma talks. He was a good counselor either. Then this Pirka, the treasurer of the king, quickly went to the king and said, Your Majesty, there is one venerable bhikkhu in this town who could teach you some Dhamma, so that your sorrow and pain would be extracted, will be less. King agreed. He said to his treasurer, Go to that venerable monk and inform him that I am going to meet him soon. Take some permission from him. Treasurer did the same. He went to the venerable Narada and informed all the background details. And the venerable Narada permitted the king to come and see him. Dhamma friends, remember, this venerable Narada was an arahant. So the king, with his all the companions, went to see venerable Narada. The venerable Narada knew the background details, so straight away he started this preaching to this king. Now listen to this. I will briefly mention it. It's very valuable. Although this story is a very beautiful one, the underlying Dhamma facts are very important. Venerable Narada, knowing the king's situation, started this way. Dear king, there are 5 situations in this world. Panchimani Maharaja Alabhaniyani Tanani. There are 5 situations in this world unobtainable by any Deva or any Brahma or any Mara or any powerful being, anyone in this world. What are they? Jaradammang ma jiriti alabhaniyanang thana. Jaradammang ma jiriti alabhaniyanang thanani. There's the first one. If one were to wish, may all the decaying things may not decay. It is a situation which is unobtainable by anyone. Vyadidammang ma vyaditi alabhaniyanang thanani. If one were to wish, may all the may all the diseases, may all the people who are subject to disease may not get caught with the disease. It is a situation which is unobtainable in this world. Maranadammang ma meeti alabhaniyani tanani. If one were to wish, may all the mortal beings of this world not die. It is a situation which is unobtainable by any powerful being of this world, including devas, maras, whoever. Hayadammang ma kiti alabhaniyani thanani. If one were to wish, may all the destructible things, destroying things, may not get destroyed. It's a situation unobtainable in this world by anyone. Lastly, if one were to wish, may all the disappearing things may not disappear. It is an it is a thing, it's a situation unobtainable by any mighty being of this world. Dear King, these are the five things unobtainable in this world. Dhamma friends, just think about ourselves. So we cannot avoid these five. Although you belong to any class or creed or whatever the fraternity that you are living along with. Having said that, so this is a general statement which is fair to all. Having said that, Venerable Narada went to next step. Then this now king's mind is now a bit settled, but not full. So he went to the second step, Venerable Narada. He said, Dear king, there are two types of people in this world. One is Asutava Putujjano, the worldling who is unheard of Dhamma, the general person who has not heard the noble Dhamma. And there's another person, Sutava Aryasavako, the Arisravaka, the noble disciple of the Buddha who knows the Dhamma. So, dear king, when something very sorrowful happens to a unlearned worldling, Asutava Putujjano, he would not contemplate to himself that this terrible thing was not happened only to me. Whoever comes to this world, whoever goes from this world, whoever dies in this world, who will reappear in another world, would face the same circumstances. Therefore, when I am to face these terrible things, I would not weep. I should not weep. I should not lament. I would not hit to my breast from my hands, weeping, screaming. No, I should not do. So this unlearned person, the general worldling, would not contemplate on this way. So what would happen? Being sorrow stricken, what would he do? He would not eat well. His bodily strength will go less. He would not be able to perform his day-to-day lives, day-to-day activities. His enemies would be delighted. His friends would be very sad. But on the other hand, dear king, there is one another person called the noble disciple of the Buddha. He has a good knowledge of the Dhamma. He has this contemplative ability to distinguish what is correct and what is wrong. So all these five things, unavoidable things, happens to this person, just like to this unknown, that unlearned worldling, Asutava Putujjano. The same circumstances would happen to this learned disciple of the Buddha, Sutavarya Savako. But the difference is the king, is dear king, when all these sorrowful things happens to this learned Arya Savaka, he would contemplate this way. What way, Dhamma friends? He would contemplate to himself, this terrible thing happened not only to me. It is fair to all the worldlings of this universe who would come here and who would go from here, who would dwell here, who will die here, and who will be reappear in another world. So having contemplated that way, dear king, that Sutava Aryasavako, the learned disciple of the Buddha, would not be sad. He would not be sorrowful. He will face the challenges with a strong mind. As a result of that, he would do his day-to-day activities with a good strength, with good mind, with some calmness in his mind, having seen that his enemies will be very sad and his friends will be very happy. So this is the difference between the way how two different kinds of people handle the same situation, dear king. Now, Dhamma friends, this king's mind is bit settled some further. Now comes the last part. This is very important, Dhamma friends. So now, Venerable Narada summarizes everything he just preached. He points out few points very important. The best part comes the last. Remember, he now preaches the king, dear king, there's no a single benefit by lamenting over or by brooding over the negative things happen to us. Any bereavements, any losses, any negative experiences, we get these things, but there's no slightest benefit of brooding over by lamenting over all these things. The person who has the capacity to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong, what is positive and what is negative, he would face all these negative things with a positive mind. As a result, his bodily outward appearance would be very good. His inward mind would be very good. But, dear king, if we can do something to get rid of all these sad things, sorrowful things, by preaching something, by chanting a mantra, or getting some medical help from a doctor, or by giving dana to thousands mendicants or the shramanars or whoever the religious people, or performing some traditional rituals. If you can do something, some remedy to all these negative things that you face in this society, you should do that. We do not stop that. You can always do that. But, dear king, remember, there comes a time, there comes a time one fine day that you will feel. Remember these Pali terms, Dhamma friends. Kamhang dalhang kinti karomi dhaniti. Now the kamma is very strong. There's nothing more we can do. Thinking that way, dear king, appease yourself. Don't be sorrowful. Don't be sad. Face the things as they are. By thinking that way, dear king, the learned disciple of the Buddha would console himself by himself. So this is the end of this preaching. But, Dhamma friends, there comes another part of this discourse. The king, having heard all the Dhamma preaching preached by the Venerable Narada, was very pleased. We all know that when we are done with hearing a good speech by a good orator, if we don't know the name of that preacher, what would we do next? We would ask from the person next to us, who is the name of that preacher? Just to get his name. But the king knew the name of the preacher. What the king didn't know was the name of the discourse. Therefore, quickly afterwards, Dhamma friends, the king asked from the Venerable Narada, Bhante, what is the name of this exposition of Dhamma? The Venerable Narada replied, Dear King, the name of this Nama, SOKASALLAHARANO Nama Ayang Maharaj Dhamma Paryayo. The name of this discourse was, the Dhamma exposition was, dear King, SOKASALLAHARANO, the extraction of dart of sorrow. The king was very pleased, Dhamma friends. So he repeated 3 times, exactly, Venerable Narada, exactly, Bhante. It itself is the extraction of this dart of sorrow. It itself is the extraction of dart of sorrow. Having heard your Dhamma, I abandoned the arrow of sorrow. Now I am very happy. Having heard that, Dhamma friends, the king immediately ordered his treasurer, Piyaka, you go today to my palace and remove the iron pot filled with oil which contains my queen's body from my birth room, for my sleeping room, and take it respectfully and cremate it respectfully and make a memorial memento, the memorial mount on her name. I will start bathing from today onwards. I will start anointing perfumes on my body again. I will start taking my meals properly from tomorrow onwards. I will start doing administration work as it was before. This is it, Dhamma friends. So, having heard, what should we do when we are confronted with any negative thing in our day to day life? Remember, there are 5 things which is unobtainable by you or by me or by Deva or Mara or any mighty being in this world. It is unavoidable. Therefore, no point of trying to avoid. But what we can do is face them with courage, thinking that we are the disciples of the Buddha. We know the Buddha's Dhamma and we practice it. Our ultimate focus is to be delivered, be freed from all the sorrow and pain. So, without stopping from this point, by hearing this Dhamma, go and teach one of your friends, your family members. Remember the last line. What is that? Kamhang dalhang kinti karomi dhaniti. Now the Kamma is strong. From this point onwards, there's nothing we can do anymore for that. Thinking that way, console your mind, console yourself, console your inner heart, and transfer this courage to another by preaching them. Listening Dhamma is a good meritorious deed, and preaching Dhamma is another most strong meritorious deed. Having said that, Dhamma friends, I will wind up this Dhamma preaching. As a last point, let us recall this preaching of the Buddha. Etang santang, etang panitang, sabba sankhara samato, sabbhopati patinisaggo, tanhakkayo, virago, nirodo, nibbhanang. This is peaceful, this is excellent. The stilling of all preparations, the relinquishment of all assets, destruction of craving, extinction, cessation. So this is an a particular praise preached by the Buddha on Nibbana. Lastly, dear Dhamma friends, let us all wish this statement preached by the Buddha's Chief Attendant Venerable Arahant Ananda, together after me. Dasa Bala Sela Pabava, Nibbana Maha Samudra Paryantha,
Nibbana Mahasamudra Pariyantara,
Atthanga Magga Salila,
Attanga Magga Salila,
Jinavachana Nadi,
Jinavachana Nadi,
Chirang Vahatu.
Chirang Vahatu.
May the Dhamma preached by the Buddha
May the Dhamma preached by the Buddha
in a form of river
in the form of rivers
flow,
flow,
appeasing,
appeasing,
extinguishing
extinguishing
all the
all the
inner fires of beings
inner fires of the beings
for the good.
for the good.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May all be free from sorrow and pain. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.